pay less than $5,000 tax.
Laws are
Okay.
There's 20, we're almost 2,000 entities contribute less than $5,000.
Okay, that's fine to say too.
That makes up 21.5%.
To get discount.
An additional
And I was thinking about
21.5%.
1911, but then I was like,
For a total of 76% of the total sales tax is paid by oil and gas, and people pay less than $5,000. And then added the storefront businesses, it's mentioned, that's another 23.8%.
my block is nice, it's
So
just,
the net,
oh, then we were shooting at 22.
granted,
You know, that's the thing.
there's residents that pay sales tax.
Put your eye out.
Sorry, numbers are tough for me, you kinda lost me somewhere in there, but yeah, you can say all of that,
Okay,
so,
Just no specific names.
just no specific names.
I'll categorize it by groupings.
So yeah, that's golf expo this weekend.
okay.
So, yeah,
I
Friday.
know we first talked about
Down
it
in, Denver, Burgess,
when we were determining what rate we were going to go.
So, you know, we're all my time
I
and stuff.
kept some, but is it a disbelief that the residents actually pay a very small percentage of the total sales tax? And when I saw these numbers,
And that's pretty, yeah, that's a common actually, that sales tax is often picked up by non-residents. Especially around what's too high. Exactly, so, especially with highways. So it's common in a lot of municipalities
Platteville
with highways that
sign
pass
on
through,
it.
because there are gas stations, convenience shops, fast food restaurants, all of those things. And those are often just people coming, citizens of red, citizens of red.
Oh, yeah.
So Spencer's in Alabama.
Oh.
He just texted the group.
Larry,
Did you get that?
yeah, I'm on.
I got that too.
Did you?
Yeah.
Party close at 3.
who's in Alabama?
Spencer.
Sorry, Spencer.
Oh, jeez. Oh, boy.
He says it's 65.
Did he make somebody mad?
Okay. I call the order of the meeting of Tuesday, February 4th at 7 p.m. Can I have a moment of silence for all those who serve inside and outside our borders, please? All right. Will you stand and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance, please? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mary, can we have roll call, please?
Mayor Adrian Sandoval.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Larry Clark.
Here.
Harold Leggett.
Present.
Nick Ralston.
Here.
Spencer Bradnan. Troy Blum.
Here.
Hope Morris. Here.
All right. I'd entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Audience participation. Seeing none. Okay, moving on. Approval of the consent agenda, which includes the minutes of the January 21st, 2020 regular meeting of the Board of Trustees.
Make a motion approval of the consent agenda. Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Action items. Resolution 2020-04, resolution of the Board of Trustees of the Town of Platteville, Colorado, amending a previously submitted ballot question for the April 7, 2020 regular municipal election. Mr. Rankin.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just indicated I'm asking the board to amend one of the ballot questions regarding the 1% sales tax increase to establish the economic development and recreation and outdoor amenities. The reason I'm asking is just looking at since our last meeting, especially last week, looking at the final sales tax revenues as a total for the year. The capital improvement fund is going to bring in roughly $530,000. It is a 1% sales tax revenue base. So going back and looking at this, I would like to increase this from $500,000 to $700,000. And this is for the first year. And then after that, it can potentially increase. But if we have another good year, kind of defined good, but it's like this past year, it could be 530, 600,000, it just depends. I just don't wanna be too low a number where we have to give money back. That would be a disaster for Mary to do, to figure out. So, that's all I'm asking, is just to raise that bar threshold.
Any other questions, comments, or concerns?
Okay, I thought we were raising it 1% from last meeting.
We are, but we're thinking 1% may go above 500,000, so I'm asking that one.
So Hope,
We said
it's a
so.
1% increase, but per Tabor laws, they have to have an amount of money in there.
Oh, I see.
So that's our best guess of what 1% could look like. Is that an accurate?
That's correct,
Okay,
that's correct.
all right,
Um,
understand.
You're saying at 1%, the possibility of going up to 535.
It could be between 500,000 and 600,000. If it's a crazy year, it could be almost 700,000. I don't think it will be, but I'd rather set it at a limit that's not extreme but reasonable.
And the reason you wanna do that too is because if you underestimate, this only applies for the first year, but if you underestimate for the first year, then you have to give a refund under Tabor. So you always wanna estimate high enough that you cover yourself, but obviously not so high that the taxpayers think it's crazy. So it's tough to find that number.
And I just saw the final year numbers the last few weeks is like, that dawned on me, we better change it. I'm hoping it's another year like, so.
Yeah, absolutely. Any other questions, comments, or concerns? I entertain a motion, please.
I make a motion to approve resolution 2020-04, a resolution of the Board of Trustees of the Town of Platteville, Colorado, amending a previously submitted ballot question for the April 7, 2020 regular municipal election as presented.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carried. Moving on to the dog park funding discussion. Mr. Rankin.
Thank you. I believe, Mr. Bradman is not here tonight. I wanted to discuss this moving forward. We still can. I don't know if you wanted to table it or have part of the conversation and then continue to the next meeting that's mentioned to be here. My comments on this is we don't have in our budget a specific earmark for a line item for the dog park. I think it would best be, it'd best fit in the buildings and grounds fund where we have funding for pest abatement, mosquito control, buildings and grounds, landscaping. It could fit into that category pretty well. We just don't have a line item budgeted for 2020. There was some discussion about maybe using dog tag fees as that. Look at the dog tag fees and they range between $800 and $1,200 depending on the year. So it's not a whole lot.
But it's something.
It is something. So my suggestion, obviously we don't want to amend the 2020 budget, but we could use, we have M&R landscaping of $5,000 for town hall. At the end of the year, I mean, we're not going to go over that budget, but you can expend some monies toward the dog park improvement if you need to. But then the next year we earmark a specific line item, whatever the board decides.
Can we earmark the previous year's license money? So like, if we had done it for the 2020 budget, we could earmark the 2019 license fees collected for the 2020 budget?
We can, but in my perspective, the general fund is a mesh of money in one fund. And by through accounting, through your budget, you take the 2.2 million in revenue and say, okay, this will go to this, and this. So what I would do is look back at previous years and say, yeah, we're averaging around $1,000 for dog park fees. So in your next line item for your next budget, just put $1,000. So you can say it's going toward that, but you don't have to actually take that money, restrict it, track it, and make sure it's only spent on the dog park. At the end of the day, it's still gonna be the same, no matter what you do.
It goes to the same place and then it comes out the same place.
It's one pot of money. It's not a special revenue fund, for example. Those can only be spent on capital projects or sidewalks or whatever. Dog park licenses, those are paid and they go in the general fund. So what we typically do is we say, okay, so like highway user tax fund, it goes into your general fund, 100-some thousand. We make sure that we spend at least 100,000 on patching and repair sidewalk or roads because we can articulate that. That's kind of my thought process, Mayor.
So that makes sense. I just wanna be able to let people know that, you know, when you license your dog, this is what your money's going towards.
And you can honestly say that, it's going into a pool of money, then being pulled back out for that expenditure.
Larry, do you have any?
Yeah, I could shed some light on some of the discussion we had. No, excuse me.
Okay, thank you. Is the light on?
Yeah, Larry Hatcher, 713 Roger Circle. Some of the brainstorming we did in,
There you go, thank you.
right, some of the discussion, the brainstorm we had in Parks, Trails, and Tree Committee was a little bit selling what we're trying to do to get the public involved or citizens involved. And another idea was trying to encourage people to get their dogs licensed. Mary gave me numbers just the other day. Over the last 8 years, it's only 146 dogs on average have been licensed per year, and I'm guessing there's a lot more dogs than that in Platteville, whether we make an impact on that or not. But we could say, you license your dog, or you can use up to that much money to work on the dog park where you can take your dog. So it's kind of like you're getting something for licensing your dog. And then the thought, of course, occurred to us when Jason Hansen had money left over from his dog park Eagle project. We got a list of things we could do that would probably chew that up. And here again, they donated it for a project at the dog park, and we could say we still used it at the dog park. And that's, you know, here again, trying to sell the public that citizens can volunteer or give money, and we'll get things done in the area you want or you would like it to be done. So.
Sure, and that makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Mary, do you recall how much that reimbursement was?
It was 1,000.
It was under 983.
I even look like you would still give it to me, deposited back into the Parks Fund, which is a special revenue fund. And all the committee would have to do is submit, and Mary put together with this request, for this item, a basic request for any committee to simply fill out, and that way it's basically a tracking mechanism from the committee, project name, a little bit of details, and the funding amount, and whether it's approved or rejected. But since that money's already been back in the bank, the board could authorize that amount of money, more or less, to go toward a specific project that Mr. Hatch mentioned. So it's just a process. It's not complicated.
Right.
We just don't have that check. I mean, it's been deposited. So.
Sure. Any other questions, comments, concerns, thoughts?
The only thing I have is, I would say is if we do that, then I mean, we got a lot of stuff that we can be doing that with, you know, these fees go to this, that people come and get licensed for, then let's take that money and put it to this thing. So I just think we gotta be careful of like, starting the precedence with that, with every fee that people come in to pay for, that it all goes to earmark to this and earmark to that. So I just want to caution us about doing that.
You know, for example, business licenses, should that go to downtown economic development? And it can go on and on. So that's why I said it all goes to a pool of money. You can track how much revenue each item brings in, but then you just reallocate during the budgetary process. It's like, and you just look at the budget. It's like, okay, well, about $1,000 a year come in averagely for the dog park, so we're gonna set line up $1,000 expenditure for the dog park. And just keep it that simple. And
Mr. Green just finished uncomplicating the books.
Yes, he did.
And reducing a lot of accounts. There's no reason to go back in, especially for something that's so easily tracked. So the first place, you know, just get in, you know, wherever you went out.
So
You got done.
From the general fund, either buildings and grounds or park maintenance, we could easily, in future years, have that line item. This year, we could, if there's a project comes up that the Parks, Trails, and Trees are looking at doing, even though we don't have a line item, I could find it somewhere in the buildings and grounds. We just do less Thanksgiving at Town Hall, for example.
So So if I remember correctly, last meeting Spencer was talking about, you guys had some ideas out there?
Yeah, we did, not just the dog park, but just brainstorm a list of ideas. And the dog park, I'll give you a couple examples, certainly the mulch area directly west where there's some trees. Tree got ran over a few weeks ago and knocked off, like to replace that. The big gate going into the dog park, there's no footing underneath that. And, David rounded up a timber for us to put there so little dogs can go in and out. Could put in a good concrete, footing, if you will, to keep that secure.
Okay.
You know, there's some other little things like that you know, we wouldn't do without approval.
Right.
And we've worked with David, you know, here's something we'd like to do that, and he's butt off on it before we went ahead and, you know, did improvements or changes, and that's how I would see it, that we're not just gonna say, okay, we got $1,000, we gotta go spend it. We expect to, okay, here's what we'd like to do, however, whether it's David or the board would say, yes, you can spend the money to do that.
Okay, so you guys come up with a plan and approach the board and we'll make it an official action item.
Yeah, the only thing I would add to that is if it's more of a volunteer manual labor type of thing, by all means, but if it involves finding a contract.
Oh, yeah, certainly.
Then we follow our own procedures and contracts to do that.
Sure, absolutely. Okay, that makes sense. Okay, so everybody happy with that? Okay, perfect, thank you. And moving on to reports. Kendra?
I didn't prepare a written report because I really didn't have anything to report. The only thing I've been working on is just helping with the election question. So I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions? Okay, thank you. All right, Mr. Inkin.
Thank you. Just a couple of points from my written report. I did submit the grant for the multimodal officers fund on time. Should find out hopefully in the next 2 months. Different range meets in March. Been working with Cheryl Trent recently. We had that open house this past Saturday, community meeting. She sent a list of people who signed up to continue on a committee to myself, and I believe she sent to you or just Mary.
I got it.
You did too. And she and I spoke on the phone briefly today. Monday afternoon, she's coming in to actually meet to go over those 6 strategic plans or items from infrastructure to environmental that we talked about at the last meeting. What she wanted me to ask the board tonight is, and she mentioned this on Saturday, is once the plan is adopted on February 18th, presuming it would be, she strongly believes that within the first week or so, to keep momentum going, that this volunteer group meet, basically through our help, set the meetings, set the location, provide some refreshments. Cheryl will provide a draft agenda on basically next steps. Let's just not have a plan on the shelf. It's a working plan, which we all agreed to. And I threw out, she said preferably the week after you adopt it. I threw out that following Wednesday, February 26th as a potential date. But that would be up to you and getting a hold of the committee, but I could work on that if that's something that works for all of you. We can even have it here at Town Hall. We can be a smaller group. And during that meeting, one thing would be is to type plan and see what the actual first next steps would be. And then part of that would be coordinating with the Parks, Trails, and Trees Committee and the youth committees on things like subgroups. Part of the recreational component of the plan involved trails and open space down by the river, which are being worked on by the town, and the Parks, Trails, and Trees won't be a part of that. So you could do subgroups. But like Cheryl said, she's helped with the draft agenda to get it started, and then they could be a committee that can meet quarterly, like we talked about, maybe not monthly right away, but it just depends on what kind of activities out there.
Or what the group wants.
Whatever the group wants. I mean, this really needs to be a volunteer-driven group, with strong support from us, just like we do the other 2 committees. There is an overall committee, 3 committees, so. So I threw that out there as a potential date, that last Wednesday of the month at 6 or 6:30 p.m. I think if you have it a little sooner than 7, it's a better draw for some people, as long as they have time to get home from work, grab a bite to eat. So 6 maybe pushing it, I was thinking 6:30 like the regular parks, trails and youth committees.
I like 6:30.
6:30, okay. I can email that group, if you want, you know, I can CC you on it, Mayor, and see if they're open to that idea.
Yes.
That way give them plenty of advance warning.
Fred, at what point would we, when would we be communicating with the businesses that this is what we're doing, and this is some stuff that we're looking at, and how do we get their involvement?
And I think that part of the agenda for that first meeting is not just us, the governing body, do that, but the committee as non-government officials help participate with that, be part of that. So it's not just government driven.
So we can send an email to all our business owners to attend the February 26th meeting, right?
You could, I mean, that could be an agenda item.
That would we start,
Yes.
put out the notification.
If we do that, we probably won't have it back at the community center.
Okay, I think that's a good idea.
Just in case, you know, we have a little turnout. I mean, I just don't know what that may be.
Yeah, because you know, we could put it out there, but then, you know, are we gonna get buy-in on the business people? And they're working, you know, some of the businesses working, like the bank, they close at 5 and go home. So, you know,
Exactly.
are we gonna get some of that participation? The restaurants are working, you know, some of the people are working, so I guess we just need to try and see what we can get.
You know, one thought is, you know, potentially maybe have this first meeting with just the committee and some elected officials, and then set a noon luncheon on a Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday, where I think more business would probably want to attend a noon luncheon meeting.
Yeah, I think so too.
Because like you said, 5 o'clock, boom, they're out.
Yeah.
But they're still here during work hours, they're more likely to attend.
Right.
So, just an idea.
Yeah, I say invite them and then,
We can work on the agenda and see which one it is.
perfect.
So
So we'll invite the businesses and,
See who can attend, and then I think additional meetings involving the businesses probably should be during the daytime hours. And you can't satisfy everybody.
Yeah, maybe put a RSVP on, what was that say? So that way we kind of know how many people are gonna have.
yeah, and, yeah, have them respond with what works best for them. And
I don't know what kind of emails I may have for businesses, Mary. I don't know if we keep emails on file or just addresses probably.
We have some emails, an offshoot from Harvest Daze, but we don't have a complete list by any means.
But we can even maybe do personal contacts or postcards or something like that.
Yeah,
Yes.
What are you doing lately, the next 2 weeks, Troy?
just playing around.
All right, help me out. Help me out.
Okay.
Another item I mentioned in my report was David, meeting with Lucas McConnell. He rescheduled that today because of the weather. He was busy doing other things, so we're waiting on to hear back from Mr. McConnell. Looks like it's mainly going to involve the undergrounding from Main Street, asking about a permitting process. A couple of notes. Our first Harvest Daze meeting for the year is next Wednesday afternoon at 1:30, which is February 12th here in this room. I did schedule with David Brand and Steve Bethers what I call a Reynolds Avenue Construction Open House meeting. It is on Wednesday, February 19th at the Senior Center at 6 o'clock. And the point of that was I'm sending out this week invites to all the residents who live along Reynolds Avenue, specific invites to them for a week from next Wednesday, so it's February 19th. And then open up to the community, whoever else is interested in learning about Reynolds Avenue. But I think Steve and Dave and I agree that it would be nice to meet with them face to face, show them the plans, how the 2-year phasing project's going to go, how it will impact what they may or may not believe is their property, but it's town right of way. Most people, I think, understand what the right of way is, from the ones I've talked to over the years, but some may not know.
What time did you say?
And that's around 6 p.m. on February 19th at the Senior Center. And then the last meeting I have, at least to announce tonight, is Kendra and Adrian and I were invited by Diane to attend a library IJ meeting. Kendra's gonna have one of her associates attend. And that's on Monday, February 24th at 5:30 p.m. at the Carbon Valley Library. And that IJ that has been pending for several years, that's been discussed off and on, that's what that's about. They're trying to get all the MDs together, they're gonna cater in food and hope to make everybody happy where they're all in agreement with this IJ. That's kind of my thought process, so. Otherwise, one last item that came from Northern Engineering. Brad Curtis, he's a new associate engineer with Northern. I've known him for years. He used to be the public works director in PE for Fort Morgan. Years ago, he spearheaded a downtown improvement revitalization project in Fort Morgan where he calls it his claim to fame. They went from planning to final construction in 6 months. And if you ever been to Fort Morgan, it looks pretty nice. They have streetscaping and benches, and music playing from behind underneath bushes.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's pretty nice in the summertime.
That's the one they got a bunch of money from CDOT though too.
They did get some CDOT funding, but what they were able to do was they sole source local contractors. And they had a big meeting and they were able to sole source local contractors. They had to deal with CDOT at all, or Excel, because they had their own power, So they were able to jump a lot of hoops that we don't have that ability to do. But regardless, Brad, I've known for a long time. He's now working with Northern Engineering under Steve Affairs. He's the one that helped me with this last grant for the multimodal. So this is, he sent it to David and I, and I'm not sure if this is something we should do quite yet or not. I'm gonna take one pass around, but this is a workshop that we would have to apply for. It's Colorado Growing Water Smart. It's a water and land use planning workshop. It's in Breckenridge at the Beaver Run Resort, May 6th, 7th, and 8th. I know we were going to schedule here very soon a water study session to revisit our raw water supply plan. Curtis knew I was thinking of this, and he found this workshop and passed it on to David and I told him I'd discuss with the board. It's a 3-day workshop. The first day is a half a day, full second day, then they get out to meet the third day. What this involves is a group of 5 to 7 from Platteville. Probably myself, David, the town engineer, maybe the town planner, and at least 2 elected officials. I would have to submit an application, a 2-question application on water awareness and planning and policy. I explained to Brad that we're kind of in the, I want to say infancy stage, but at least the toddler stage as far as dealing with water concerns, because we've been focusing on wastewater. Even though we did the raw water supply plan, we have not really pursued any of those recommendations yet. But if some of you are interested, I have till I think Valentine's Day to submit the application, February 14th. But I believe it's an invite only is what it is. You have to qualify, and they would pay for at least I think room and board and some meals, looks like. So I didn't know if this was truly the game. Brad thought they did this at least once a year, but I wanted to kind of get your thoughts on it. I wasn't quite sold on it yet, but I wanted your thoughts. If you want to think about it, that's fine.
I think this is gonna be a big problem for us in the very near future. I think the sooner we start gathering information and education, the better off we'll be.
Well, it's not until June, so we can still meet.
May, right?
May 6th.
Sorry, yeah, you're right, May. I was thinking the same wrong one. May 6th through the 8th. Drive up in the morning, it starts at noon basically, and then stay 2 nights, come back that third day in the afternoon. So it's open to municipalities, counties throughout Colorado. So I give it a shot. I can write the application. It's not difficult.
Well, I think we should take advantage of an opportunity to get educated on the stuff and the needs and what we can and can't do. And
Okay. Yeah, read through the brochure. It's pretty detailed on what it involves, and it's put on by the Sonoran Institute.
Men will be eligible for technical assistance to help realize your water and land use goals.
Yep. So I'll start drafting an application. Basically, I just answer 2 questions, that's what I do, and submit it to them by the deadline.
Okay.
And then, I would just ask no more than 2 elected officials to attend, whoever that would be. I thought David, Brad Curtis would probably go for Northern Engineering. And then, probably ask Melissa, I don't know if she needs to go quite yet or not, but it's for land use and planning workshop. So. Do you have any other thoughts, please let me know.
Okay.
But Brad Curtis and David Knight for sure. And it's at 5 to 7, just 5 of us, that's fine.
Okay.
I don't wanna have more than 2 elected officials, then we have public meeting issues that we have to deal with and recommend.
Yep, absolutely.
So,
Okay.
all right, I'll work on it, and then, this is due before, due by our next meeting, before the next meeting, so next week.
Yeah.
I'll just work on, get it submitted, and I'll send you a copy electronically,
Okay. Perfect.
because I don't have some of the answers to these questions, some of them I have to be thinking outside the box.
Okay. Fabulous.
Okay,
Thank you.
that's all I have.
Yeah.
Troy, have we done anything with our emergency command team or any of that information yet? Did we have to deploy them when the train, derailed out here? Did we do any emergency stuff and that?
We did a joint command with State Patrol, UP, the Fire District, when that train derailment happened.
And UP kind of took the lead for that, right?
Yeah, when a joint command, one entity primarily takes the lead based upon their expertise and training, so that was UP and Fire. Police are more support services along with CDOT. But it was, they immediately set the joint command on unified command, they call it as well. And we've talked about, we haven't really done hands-on scenarios, but Chief Durkee and Carl have talked about if it's a active shooter situation, we'll take the lead, they'll support us. If it's a major fire issue, like years ago, customized fence burnt down, when I was police chief, we supported them with State Patrol and Sheriff's Office, so. We responded, but we did so in a unified way.
Because we did that training last year with our crew miner stuff, and we talked about doing some.
The call plan, working on the call plan.
For that.
That's for you guys.
Right.
Yeah, continuity of government plan.
Is that mostly for natural disasters?
Pretty much. Yeah, that's mostly for the mayor and the board to make those decisions on proclamations and emergency declarations. That's what that's really about. And the emergency management plan involves both the board, the staff, and community. I need to update that. It's been a long time since it was updated. And the one emergency, well, we've had multiple. We've had severe storm events, but the flooding, which wasn't impacted Platteville, but I won't call it a direct impact because we did not get flooded. Unlike, Evans and some other towns. And then, of course, the tornado back in Norway, which started the emergency management plan that we got in 2009. So those are things that still in the works.
Okay.
Trying to get those out before April timeline updates. So.
Or we could take a fancy bus and go tour the.
I told Roy Rudisil before the holidays, I wanted to schedule a tour with the board in the new senior bus and get up there. It probably have to be an afternoon or something when they're open. So I have to schedule that with everybody. You like that? We did some training up here. I have multiple times in the EOC.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I know, Jake has studied it.
Sure.
It's just, he's asking me questions and stuff, and I'm like, yeah, we did talk about it last year, did some stuff, but I don't think we've done anything since then, so it's kind of been, well, I'm gonna ask you where we're at with that, so.
Yeah, when those instances I brought up, the 08 tornado and then 13 flood, one of my first actions is I call the mayor and give him or her a briefing of what's going on. And we discussed if I need you or you need me, where we'll be, how to be contacted. And we never did a proclamation for either event because we weren't direct impacts, we were more of a support. We sent public works and police to other communities to help them out. So, knock on wood, you know, they could happen anytime. This trail derailment was 1 mile north, right here 32, it's a whole different situation.
And an hour later.
Wow, yeah.
It happened at 5:30, would have been 6:30 up here, it would have been a different story.
Yep. Live.
Plus, we had a major structure that's highly flammable right there, so we're very lucky.
Yes.
Speaking of that train derailment, I received a letter from the PUC today that they've done the review comments, and they received 4 comments from basically residents, they don't name who. 2 concerns regarding emergency service response time, and then general response time for them to go places. So the PUC is asking CDOT to respond to those. And I did speak with, they have monthly UP closure meetings, and I've attended several of those up at Will County. And mostly it's CDOT Will County there in the room. I'm the only municipal official there, which is kind of weird, but they're still hoping to have it closed by mid-April timeframe, but they have to go through this review and public hearing process. I have not heard word where our IJ stands and where a $1 million contribution coming from Will County through CDOT is at.
There's a Highway 85 coalition meeting on the 13th.
Okay, maybe we can find out some more then.
Yeah.
But one of the comment responses, because they called me, CDOT called me, and I can't remember the gentleman's name, but he leads these monthly meetings. And I told him about the idea we have Will County and the potentially new South Front Street, and I said I don't have a timeline yet. You know, I still have to secure right-of-way dedications, at least 60 foot, preferably 80, but 60 foot right-of-way dedications for a new South Front Street connect 30 to 32. I have there's 2 landowners involved. The southern half, that landowner is more than willing, because it would benefit him as well. But the northern half, I still haven't secured yet.
Plus the UP right away and the 200 and 100 foot.
And it would be outside of the UP right away, so we would not deal with no more UP right away.
Yeah, but you're at that window.
Because half of North Front Street's in UP right away, we pay them to keep it open, and we don't want to do that.
So most likely we have to put that in play, once that is closed, we have to get that road go here pretty quick then.
It's not urgent, but I think it's something we should do, because long-term potential is that land can be developed for rail access or industrial access, because there's already an 8-inch water line that's gonna run through there. It would just have to be off septic, which most businesses on North Front Street are off septic right now.
Well, the residents are concerned about, emergency personnel response time. That would sure help it a lot too.
Right now, it'd be a 4-mile roundabout, because you have to go out Arrow 32,
Yeah.
2 miles, a mile over, and then a mile back, 2 miles, so it's about basically about a 5-mile roundabout.
Yeah.
So there is an impact.
Yeah, and does that the first one go all the way through? I don't think it does to 30. I think you have to go 2 miles east.
You have to go 2 miles east.
Yeah, you can't just go 1 mile.
Unless you know where the ditch road is, and you go
Yeah.
right down the ditch road, but that's private.
Right,
Yeah, so it is an impact.
Yeah.
It's a $5 turnaround.
Okay,
question.
all right, thanks.
No, I just jumped into on that one, I just thought of that UP closure.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, I have, a couple of things. I am working on the application for, I've got 500 messages on Facebook regarding an HGTV wants to do a makeover on an entire Main Street thing. Yes. So I am applying for it, basically it's just asking a few questions. Why does your town deserve this? And it's asking for some pictures, and it's not really a big deal, and it's due by the 7th. So I'll get that done, if not tonight, tomorrow night.
Why not?
I mean, you can find it. So,
Like be on TV?
Absolutely.
Nothing
Come on, Troy.
Nope.
Yeah.
If we're making.
Also, I got an email yesterday that I need to respond to, that I wanted to read to you. It says, "Good afternoon, Adrian. Nice seeing you on Saturday. I don't know if Stacy from Platteville Rotary has been in contact with you regarding this, but Rotary would like to provide the mayor and the trustees with a meal before one of your town board meetings. Also, at some point, the maintenance department as well. They want to show their appreciation, for all the hours and hard work.
Wow, that's nice.
Yes. So, send a schedule out, thank them very much. And there's a Highway 85 Coalition meeting on February 13th, the Harvest Daze meeting on the 12th. Parks, Trails, and Trees is next Tuesday, a week from today. That's what I've got right now.
And the 19th is the Rounds Avenue, and the 24th is
The library.
So,
Mhm.
we got some news coming.
We do, absolutely.
Good thing we got a leap year.
Anyways, that's all I have. Committees, do you have an update?
Yeah, just, last Tuesday we had our meeting and I was only one attendee and myself and thank Mary for helping out and filling in there and getting some good notes taken there. So we got some schedules for events that we'd like to put on here this summer, so, that's about all we got done. We'll be meeting again here, I think the 26th, 25th.
I do know 2, possibly 3 more citizens that want to attend your next week.
Send one away, we're looking frantically for people.
Yes.
I think we have a quorum even there, so.
Did you have a couple of new ones Tuesday night?
No, it was just Jess and I. Amanda was sick, so, yeah.
Yeah, I have a couple of people as well that I thought were coming in the last meeting.
Yeah. Well, and then our meeting's gonna be 6:30. I know the Everbridge is on at 6.
My mistake.
No, that's fine. We thought maybe we'd get more people to come if we had it at 6:30 with people getting off work and eating dinner, maybe a little bit later, so start at 6:30.
Yeah, when I send out the Everbridge this Thursday, I'll make that correction of both committees.
Okay.
Groups meet on at 6:30.
Okay.
The second and the 4th Tuesdays of the month.
Right. I don't think that was much of a confusion there. I was hoping to have people waiting for me. I showed up early just in case people were here. But, yeah.
All right, awesome. Anything else before the board? All right, we're adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
Just for references or no record, I was off Monday, got about 17 and a half minutes, I called it sick. I got the mayor's advance permission.